Good. All right. Hey, Dacey here. I am with Sergeant Retired Mike Rood and Artur Pawlowski. Thank you so much for having us. We're visiting Calgary, and it's been a wild few days. Where do you want to start, really? I don't even know where to start.
Well, first of all, thank you for coming. And it looks like Simba has a lot to say. I told you he's a big talker. Well, thank you so much for visiting us. I mean, I believe that Alberta is the center of the fight, if you will, for this nation. So thank you for recognizing this and seeing what's happening and willing to cover it. Because, as you know, we are shadow banned. We are, deplatformed, and the enemy really does not want you to hear what we have to say.
Yeah, and I mean, just the way we have to do this, I've been permanently banned off Facebook. You're being shadow banned now, and you're right. The powers that be do not want us speaking. Recent events here that kind of connected us. Yeah, more Christians being attacked, more pastors being thrown in jail. A lot of very concerning things happening right now.
Yeah, for you viewers, you have to understand that every totalitarian regime, every dictatorship always starts the same way, and the freedom of religion always goes first. Yeah. Why? Because what we are witnessing right now is the fight of two powers. They want to be pharaohs, they want to be, dictators, whatever you want to call them, the elites, the globalists. They want to be gods. Whatever they say becomes a law. They're telling you will own nothing and you will be happy. And then there is the clergy, the Christians, the people that believe in a real God, and that's a clashing of the spirits. So for the tyrants, the first thing they need to do in order to usher dictatorship and any, form of totalitarian regime, they need to eliminate the voices of religion. What they're doing, and we've seen this through history, they're creating two categories of people, if you will. The powerful, the elites, those that have everything, and the rest of the people, those that have nothing. Them, they're flying private jets and eating the most expensive steaks in different places, as you have seen, and them telling you that you have to walk or, ride a bicycle. They are creating two categories of people, the powerful and the slaves. And if you're not careful, you will become the slave. That's what we're observing right now. And believe me, and believe my accent, because I've seen this movie before. I've heard it from my grandparents, from the older generation, what the Nazis did. And of course, I grew up behind the Iron Curtain under the boots of this type of totalitarian regime, the communism and socialism. So I've seen this before. And that's why it's so important to resist them while we still can.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems to me that anybody who is willing to stand on their principles, often it was people like yourself standing on religious principles, but they were some of the first people to be attacked. I didn't know much about you until I saw you basically in the streets. I guess it was Calgary here. Yeah. Surrounded by police cars, basically. Right here. Exactly. Yeah. And hogtied and carried away. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that experience and what you went through with the police here and the government coming after you.
Yeah, but before I go into the story, sure. I just want the people to understand that why you should care about religious liberties, religious freedoms. You might not be religious. Maybe you're atheist. Maybe you just don't care. Whatever the case with you might be, you have to understand that totalitarian regimes, dictators, always come for the freedom of religion first, and then they take all other freedoms after. So it's not that they're going to be done with us when there is no more freedom of religion. Then they will go freedom of expression. Then they will go freedom of peaceful assembly. And we witnessed all of that in the past few years under the craziness of, I won't even say it. I don't want you to be, censored there. So immigrants like us, we've tasted hell. When people come and ask me how it was growing up, behind the Iron Curtain, I always tell them the same thing. It was hell. Yeah. It was, we grew up in hell when police officers could beat you up, torture you, break your arms, break your legs, and there was nothing you could do about it. I remember to this day the show trials, very similar trials that I was subjected to by Gordon Krinky, the crooked judge of Alberta, or Adam Germain, that gave me compelled speech order, or John Rook, the crook, as I call him, the chief associate chief justice, or David Gates, that gave them the power to enter our church facility, of course, illegally. And you got to remember, all of those meetings were done off camera. They were done in secret, without notifying the public, without us being able to defend ourselves and our rights. All of those people, they always work the same way. The modus operandi is always identical. They work in secrets, when the cameras are not rolling, when the people are sleeping, they're not aware of what's happening. And that's exactly what happened to us. Our story, it's a perfect example, straight from their book. So I wrote a book in prison, but they have their own book. And it's not called Lions Do Not Bow. It's called How to Become a Tyrant. And they're flipping the books globally, and they say, okay, the first stage, we need to remove religion, because those people are the biggest threat to every and any totalitarian regime. Then we need to arrest them. Then we need to control the judges. Then we need to, control the law enforcers and propaganda, of course. So that's exactly what happened to us early on. Our story did not start with 5 years ago. Our story started in 2005, when the Canadian government told us that they've changed the laws, and you will be shocked that they passed the laws called bylaws in the municipalities in our beloved Canada that prohibit people from feeding people. Can you believe it? It's against the law, according to them, the globalists, the elites, the wannabe pharaohs, for you to feed another human being. So if you give a sandwich to a dying child outside of your house, you just committed a crime. You were aware of that? That's crazy. Also, they have laws that a distribution of printed materials is also prohibited by law. So if you give anything to anyone, if you pray for someone, I remember I was arrested for feeding the homeless. I was arrested for distributing Bibles and gospel tracts. I was arrested for preaching. I was arrested for reading Bible. I was arrested for everything you can imagine. So far, I received over 360 citations and over 120 court cases, and I'm still in court. Jumping. So our story started early on. Why? Because we recognize the modus operandi of the wannabe tyrants, and we simply said to them, what you're doing is unlawful. Unlawful according to our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, Constitution, unlawful according to the Bill of Rights, unlawful according to the Criminal Code of Canada. And I remember my first arrest was with a police officer that said, I'm prohibiting you to read the Bible in public. Full stop. And I said, well, excuse me, who do you think you are? I mean, you are an agent of the crown to enforce the law, not to become the law.
Under what authority?
But he says, I am the law. Yeah. I said, no, you're not. Yeah. There's something called Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And you know what he said? You're under arrest. Have it your way. And I got arrested. I faced a year of imprisonment. I received 7 criminal charges by that crooked police officer. And that was my introduction to the so-called justice system.
And when would that have been? What year would it have been?
So that was 2005 and 2006.
Almost, so 20 years ago.
20 years ago. I'm in court, non-stop pretty much, for 20 years. So now fast forward. I have been fighting them. I have been winning. And there was a big stories and this and that, different mayors, different politicians, different prime ministers. But we survived. And they let us do our job for a while. And then 2020 showed up. And I kept doing what I have been called to do, which is, it's not organized crime. I know you were thinking.
The way they treated you.
Right.
It's like you were organized crime.
So some people think, okay, he must be a boss of mafia. I mean, how many people you have seen
the accent, I guess,
to be arrested? Like, think about it. I'll show you something. How many people you have seen to be arrested on a tarmac?
Yeah.
Right? Stepping out of the plane. Have you ever seen anyone in your life,
as soon as you land,
being arrested on a tarmac, stepping out of the plane? Why? So what was my crime? Well, there were a number of things that I have done that triggered their authoritarian and totalitarian, things that they unleashed on me. One of them was I was exposing them by teaching history to the people. Also, I refused to comply with their illegal orders. So when 2020 showed up and the government said to me, well, you have to stop feeding the homeless, because that's what I do. For since 1999, so that's almost 27 years now, we're feeding the homeless people. And that's what we kept doing throughout this craziness, including for the past 5 years. And the government says, you have to stop feeding the poor. And I said, listen, I'm doing this for over 20 years. Yeah. You people don't make any sense. Because if we're truly in the middle of this crisis, if you will, that means that my services are now needed more than ever. Yeah. Because people need to eat.
And people need hope.
And people need
all of your services, actually. That's an important point. Yes, feeding, but people need to be spiritually fed. They need their fellowship. They need other humans.
So I appealed it to the mayor. I appealed it to the premier. I appealed it to every minister in his cabinet. It was Jason Kenney at that time, conservative government. And guess what? No one replied to me. Yeah. Yeah. You know, at that moment, I went public and I said, this whole thing is a big fat lie. Because if we were truly in the middle of crisis that people might die, then people like me would be cherished and supported by the government because we are literally saving lives. But when they threw 20,000 different individuals facing homelessness to the concentration camp, if you will, to the gulags, that showed us very clearly this has nothing to do with keeping people safe. This is an attempt to actually destroy lives. And of course, I was right. I mean, 5 years later, everyone with a brain, including my dog, knows that we were preaching the truth and they were lying. So, but I became the first Canadian to get a COVID ticket, beginning of 2020. I was surrounded by 12 officers, Bylaw Services, Calgary Police, uniformed, and then AHS, Alberta Health Services. I was told I would be arrested. And I got the first COVID ticket. I was told I would get millions of dollars worth of COVID tickets, which I got later on. Our record, I mean, the story is absolutely crazy. I encourage you to read Lions Do Not Bow. It's on Amazon.ca, Amazon.com, because the story is so complex and there's so many turns around. I'll have to talk for hours, literally. Yeah. I'll just mention one incident for people to understand how crazy those traitors, listen to me, those politicians, and I'm talking about NDP, Liberals, Conservatives, they are all traitors to the Canadian people and they should be charged with treason because they have blood on their hands for what they've done to us, to our children, to the elderly. And how crazy they were. It was the 2020 when the federal, provincial, and municipal governments came on public. And remember what they said? Right after they went on television and they encouraged children to have a safe Halloween. Remember that?
Okay, yeah.
All of them came out and said, children, have a great time, have a safe Halloween, okay? And then just a few weeks after, the same people went on television and they canceled Christmas. Remember that?
Yeah. And in Manitoba, they even taped off the shelves at Walmart so that people couldn't buy Christmas gifts.
The same thing here.
And even just to go back on our recent experience at the ostrich farm, if they didn't value chaplains, why did they bring a chaplain out to the ostrich farm to talk to all the people? Right?
Yeah.
Because
different narrative.
No. This is a professional production. This is a Hollywood movie. Yeah. Those people it's all a show. It's all a theater. People, you have to understand the politicians are playing you like a fiddle. It's all a game to them. They are following script, and that's why all of them say the same thing. I mean, you've got the game of the good cop and the bad cop, but they all work for the same police department. Yeah. You have to understand, Liberals, Conservatives, and NDP, they work for the same police department. They just play a game. So when I was arrested, and I was arrested more times than my lawyers remember. I don't even remember how many times I was arrested. I mean, this is crazy. I was followed by undercover police, helicopters, uniformed police, RCMP, detectives, you name it. I had staged undercover sting operations sitting in a vans outside my house. I mean, what we went through, I was arrested by every force in in a country, I had soldiers coming, intimidating me. I had like Canadian Armed Forces. I had RCMP. I had detectives. I had, shrinks from the police trying to evaluate me. I had, uniformed everyone. But the culmination of the story, for the people to understand how crazy this was that Christmas celebration. Because when they came on television and they said, we're canceling Christmas, you're not allowed to sing. Singing was outlawed. You're not allowed to have Lord's Supper. I can take you to a liquor store across the street and we can be drunk like pigs and keep drinking, no problems. COVID understands. You have to understand that this virus was very smart. If you sit, he was forbidden to attack you. If you stood up, you're dead. If you go to liquor store, marijuana store, abortion clinic, Walmart, if you were in IKEA or Costco, perfectly fine. I could take 500 people to IKEA. I remember my son's bed broke, so we had to go to IKEA for a bed. We entered and I said to my family, look up. And there was a big ride up. Only 500 people allowed. Only 500 people allowed.
501 is deadly.
Right?
Yeah.
And I said, look, I can bring my entire church to IKEA. It's perfectly legal and good. Oh. But the government said, if you have a brother for a coffee, we will send the police. We will be monitoring driveways and we'll break the doors and we'll arrest everyone. And they did. They did in different parts. They broke the doors and they arrested people, right? So when I've heard them canceling Christmas, you know what I did? Well, I did what Polish people are doing. We just don't crawl to a corner and we don't die. We rise up in the crisis and we say, enough is enough. And I went on television and I said, I said first to them, who do you people think you are? Some kind of Grinches? You can't cancel Christmas. You can't cancel God. So I invited people to the biggest Christmas celebration in the land. But I didn't expect thousands of people to show up. We had so many people. We had AAA steaks for the homeless, gifts for the homeless. And I think we broke some kind of a record for a church service. We had over 120 police officers, 54 police cars, anti-terrorists, SWAT team, chief of police, 20 cops on bicycles. And I was told that I've done something that because of me, the city of Calgary is going to collapse and everyone will die. You know what I did? Well, I admit I did this. I'm guilty as charged. I did it. I received 15 tickets from those people for that worth millions of dollars. And I was guilty as charged. I hired carolers. Yeah. And we were singing Christmas songs.
Crime of the century.
And I'm telling you, they were taking pictures. We had RCMP, we had police, anti-terrorists on the roofs with telescopic cameras filming us, crime and everything. I was told that the whole community is going to drop dead and I'm a grandpa killer. They compared me to Adolf Hitler. And I ended up with 15 covered tickets for that day alone. And it took me 2 years to fight them. So can you imagine the level of manipulation and lies? And then 2021 came, and then the truck convoy, and the rest is history. I was arrested. I was charged with terrorism. I became the first Canadian to ever receive this charge under the defense.
So just to clarify, was that from you spoke or gave a sermon at Coots at the court?
Yeah, so here's my involvement.
Yeah.
I think people deserve to know what we were doing as clergy, as Christians. Well, I was organizing church services. Before the truckers started to roll, I got a phone call and I was asked if I would become their pastor, the truckers' pastor. Yeah. And at that time, I have been very vocal. I was traveling around. I was going from province to province. I was in Ottawa. I was staging protests at the Supreme Court. I've done all those different things. So they knew me. And they asked me, and of course they didn't have to ask me. I mean, I consider this to this day my greatest privilege that the hurting Canadians viewed me as their pastor. And they came to Calgary from all kinds of different angles, different provinces, and we did a church service for them. My wife organized different churches truckloads of food and water and necessities of life. And we raised money for the truckers, and we served them food, and we gave them truckloads of food to take to Ottawa. And we did a church service in the morning. We prayed for them. We were singing hymns, and off they went to Ottawa. I was supposed to join them. And I said to my wife, okay, I want to go. They really want me to go to Ottawa. And I know, thank you, God, for wise women, because sometimes we just want to go.
Yeah.
Give me a horse and a sword. But, I'm very grateful for my wife. She's a lot smarter than me. And she says, okay, if all of you guys go, if every man goes to Ottawa, who's going to stay here? Who's going to fight for us here? Who's going to organize rallies and protests and church services here if you all go to Ottawa? Then I said, she has a point. If we all go there, who is going to cheer people up here? So I decided to stay. I really want to go. I was in this room, and I was going back and forth. I was on the phone with Tamara and others over there, and said, I really want to go. And then I calmed down and said, okay, they are there. Let them do their job there, and we're going to do our job to backing them up here. And that's exactly what we did. So I was asked, I received the phone call. So I did rallies. We had 15, 20,000 people showing up. I was going all over: Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, Alberta, British Columbia, Calgary, Okotoks, High River, you name it. We were so crazy busy, of course, doing church services, live streaming them, because I refuse to bow before this corruption. And I received a phone call from the truckers and farmers, and they said, Pastor, we are really, really depressed. Yeah. We are really hurting. They are police officers dressed in black, pointing machine guns at our children playing street hockey. Can you just come and cheer us up? Can you just come and do a church service for us? That's what I did. That's the only thing I was doing, feeding the poor and giving them church services. Of course, church service has different components. So you've got worship, you've got Lord's Supper, you've got prayers. Church service is always sometimes just hugging people.
Yeah.
I was busy
many things, right?
hugging people, just loving them, because they were depressed. They were suicidal. They were hooked on drugs and alcohol. They needed someone to tell them it's going to be okay. This shall pass. It's going to be okay. So that's what I was doing. Even at the rallies, I was Artur Pawlowski. I was raw, because I grew up in hell. But I also saw solidarity movement, the power of the people when they took it to the streets. Yeah. I saw the remedy. You know why they hate me so much? You know why they're afraid of me? Because not only I've seen this movie before, and I know how it ends, but I also saw the remedy.
Yeah, you know the cure.
I know the cure. And I said it so many times, give me enough Albertans, and I'll give you liberty and your prosperity. Give me enough Canadians, and I will give you back your sanity in this all levels, all mountains of influence, educational system that is indoctrinating. They're not educating anymore. Healthcare system that is actually murdering people. They're not healing people anymore. And we can go on, entertainment and business and banking, economy. All of it is a sham. The so-called justice system with the crooked, rogue, woke judges and lying, deceiving crown prosecutors like Stephen Johnston and others. So I said, I'll come. I took my worshiper, so I did not pack guns. I did not
go to Coops.
Right? Yeah. I did not take drugs, fentanyl. Yeah. You know what I took? I took
human trafficking.
Right? I took speakers. Yeah. I took a worshiper, because I'm a lousy singer. Oh, let's shoot everyone. No. I did the church service. Yeah. I did what I came to do. We did Lord's Supper, 25 or 30 extremely cold. So we did what I was always doing, peacefully. Yeah. Our CMP was recording me, taking pictures, not a big deal. I have nothing to hide. To this day, I have nothing to hide. I do my sermons online. You can watch them. I talk freely. You know what is the difference between a liar, con artist, and honest person? You know what's the difference?
What?
Well, honest person, ask me anything.
Yeah.
And if I know the answer, I'm going to give it to you. Yeah. Ask a politician, a con artist, a liar. Well, he needs the question beforehand, and he needs to consult his 10,000 different handlers
Yeah.
to give you the lie.
To get the canned response. Yeah.
That's how you know. If you are asking a politician a question and he's not answering, there is a reason for that, because there are con artists, there are liars. You ask me any question, if I have the answer, I'm going to give it to you. So then I ask, because that's what I do, I ask the RCMP officers if they will let us to Coutts. Milk River is about, I would say, 14 kilometers from Coutts. Coutts, by the way, for those that do not know, that's the entry point to Canada. Sweetgrass, Coutts, that's the border from Montana to Alberta. So I went over there. The RCMP opened the barricade. They said, sure.
Come on in.
Come on in.
Yeah.
I didn't have to do anything except ask. And they said, sure, go. So I did it. So they watched me. They filmed me. And their conclusion was, okay, he's a preacher. He's preaching. It's not a big deal. Let him go. So I went. All of us. And I did the same thing. During my sermons, not once I said break the law. Not once I said block the streets. Not once I said let's fight with the police. What I said, however, is no guns, no swords. This is not that type of a revolution. We can paralyze their system, the solidarity style. You know how the Polish people won against the most powerful empire at that time, the Soviet Empire? By taking it to the streets.
Yeah.
Paralyzing their system with a general strike. That's what I said to the people.
That's it. Like lawful civil disobedience.
Right?
Yeah.
In a free and democratic society, freedom of peaceful assembly, freedom of expression,
charter protected
right?
rights in theory.
Freedom of religion.
Yeah.
So I exercised my rights. Police was there. Yeah. Detectives were there. Not a big deal. Again, have nothing to hide. I was telling people to stand up for God and state-given rights and to do it for the children and for the future of the children. Not a big deal. No one stopped me. No one said what I did was unlawful. Police let me back home. A few days later, I stepped out of my house and I was arrested. They blocked the entire street. There was so many cars. I don't even know how many cars were here. Police cars. I had detectives, undercover, RCMP officers. I had some special gang unit like SWAT team. I had some unit with cameras. I mean, everyone was here. And I was interrogated for a whole day. I was stripped naked, taken to prison, and I was told that I was charged with terrorism. And that's how I became the first Canadian ever in the history of this country to be charged in the province of Alberta by the Conservative government. I want you to understand this. Everything that was done to me was done by the Conservative government, not the Liberal government. I don't like Liberal government. I think they're psychopaths, okay, just on the record. I think
the Alberta Conservative government.
I understand that NDP are really crazy people. I call them the communists, the socialists, the liberals are the Nazis, but the Conservatives are the traitors. So I was arrested by the Conservative government and taken to prison. I was kept in metal cages. And that's why, read the book. The book is a shocker. I'm giving you the names of the judges, the names of the police, the names of the politicians, and all kinds of different things. And I was charged with inciting.
Yeah, okay.
Even though I was not inciting. I was charged with mischief over 5,000, which has 10 years of imprisonment. I was charged with breaches of my release order because I was arrested multiple times. Also, I was charged under the Defense Act.
Yeah,
it's like if
that one's very curious to me.
Right? If you blow a pipe, if you blow a bridge, that's the charge.
So, to charge someone, so basically they're accusing you of domestic terrorism.
Yes, exactly.
And for someone, I can't speak to this, but Mike, you were involved in, I guess it was GWAT, like served and fought terrorists. I would imagine, what do you think when you see a pastor in Canada being accused of those things?
Well, just for one, I was going to just ask you, what is your profession again?
Yeah.
Right? Because, when in Canada has that happened? Right?
Yes, it's...
and it's shocking, and I somewhat, I go back and I think about my mom and my grandma were, had so much faith, and I wonder what would have happened to them. I can picture my mom or my grandma getting hauled off Because to see a pastor, for that to happen, it's I was just like, my God, what country are we in now?
But you see, I'm not the only one. If I was the only one, you might say, okay, Artur Pawlowski is too much.
Yeah.
He has done something to trigger them, right? And I would say, maybe there would be some validity to that point. But you see, multiple clergy were arrested during that time. And they have different style. They use different words. So you can accuse me, and I have been accused that you language. I call them Nazis. I call them Gestapo. And by the way, for those that do not know, Gestapo simply means political police. So what I'm saying, that those officers of the law, they're no longer interested in the law. They're working for politicians, obeying the political orders, not the lawful orders. So that's why I call them Gestapo. You can call them KGB. I mean, the same thing. Stasi, right? The same thing. Those are political police, no longer working for the people, but they're working for the political entities. That's what I'm trying to communicate from history to the people. So, but you may say, okay, you're yelling, you're screaming at them, you're calling them, those nice officers, you're calling them names, right? But what about codes? That's the Alberta pastor. I mean, he's the nicest, the most timid, just nice Canadian. You know, the one that apologizes for apologizing. Then you've got Stevens in the city of Calgary, another pastor, very nice, very polite, totally different than me, totally different style, went like a sheep to the slaughterhouse in front of his children. So you cannot accuse them of that, and yet they faced a very similar attack on their faith. And then you got my associate pastor, very nice, born here, like a typical Canadian, and I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm just saying Canadians never experienced this, so you're a little bit more timid, more nicer.
Well, I didn't think it was possible, honestly. Growing up, I didn't grow up knowing. I mean, I know the history of what happened in Poland and some of these things, but to me, this was impossible. I didn't think that this was possible
because you grew up in an environment believing that government works for you, not against you.
Trusting our
I grew up in hell, knowing and seeing every single day that the government is your enemy. The government actually wants you hurt and dead. When I was growing up, there was a famous saying by the police officers, of course, from Beria. Beria was working for Joseph Stalin during that era. And the famous saying was, and I've heard it many times from the police, give us a man, and we'll find something on that man. I mean, in other words, we'll cook stuff up. And that's what happened to me and other pastors. They cooked things up. And you know what is the saddest part of the story? That the judges played along. The judges betrayed us and they sentenced us. You know, I was found guilty on terrorism for my peaceful sermon. You can listen to the sermon to this day.
I can't even really, I know it happened, but it's hard for me to reconcile that.
He found me. His name is Gordon Krinky, the crooked judge in the province of Alberta. Gordon Krinky found me guilty on all charges, including the charge of terrorism. For my sermon. You know what they said? And I'm sitting over there as an accused, facing 12 and a half years of imprisonment. And you know what they say? We think that when he said solidarity, he meant violence.
Right. Change the
language. I mean,
completely.
This is Marxist.
Just
completely.
they can hear it. Right?
So when I said to the crowd of the hurting Canadians, and I said, this is our Alamo, I was not talking about let's grab guns and shoot the police. What I was saying that this is the hill we are willing to die on.
Yeah, and it's a metaphor
right?
that's used quite commonly.
Of
right?
course.
But
they said, you see, Your Honor, he was inciting people to violence. And even though during my sermon, speech, whatever you want to call it, it was sermon, I said 3 times, no violence, no guns, no swords.
Specifically.
3 times.
Yeah.
And yet they spin it in a way that, he said that, but he actually meant this. Yeah. And I'm sitting over there and he found me guilty. I remember my sentencing, and of course I was tortured in prison, and that's why I encourage you to read the book. I was tortured in prison. I was taken to jail upside down like a piece of meat. I was stripped naked multiple times. I was kept in metal cages. Can you believe it that in the Calgary's remand center, I don't know if you're professional criminals like me,
No.
but in the Calgary remand center, to this day, they have little metal cages where a man sits like this and you can't move. And you're half dead, you're suffocating, you're sweating, there's no air circulating, and you're passing out. And every sometime, and you don't know how long you're there because there's no clock, nurses would come and check if you're still alive. I mean, I share that, and it happened to me. I share that, and people look at me like I'm an alien, that I came from another planet. I mean, no. Do you know that in Calgary Remand Center and Edmonton Remand Center, when I was kidnapped and taken without the knowledge of my legal counselors and my family, kidnapped, shackled like an animal, put in a cage like an animal, taken to Edmonton, locked in a max spot. You know what the max spot is?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, but maybe just
So
describe
max spot is a unit for the most dangerous terrorists in the country.
Yeah.
I was kept there.
Violent offenders.
I was kept there.
Murderers.
But I was so violent that I was housed there alone.
Oh,
Hundreds of cells empty because I was so dangerous.
just you.
And I was monitored, watched by 3 guards. They gave me under the door. I was there 23 hours a day, half an hour out. I was given this document here. I included it in the book. This document states that I can be housed there, freezing conditions, shivering like this. I mean, that's freezing. Like this, I can't sleep. I asked for a blanket through intercom because they said there's no interaction. I'm too dangerous. Took my Bibles, took my book. The book I wrote, this book I wrote on the pieces of paper that inmates were sleeping under my solitary confinement. They confiscated my manuscript 3 times. My lawyer smuggled it. When they demanded to give it back, she smuggled it out of prison. That's why we have the book. But it says that I can be housed in freezing conditions indefinitely.
Yeah.
And I asked for a blanket, and they said, laughed in my face, and they said, at least you have fresh air. So I called my wife. I was out for half hour, 30 minutes. I was only allowed from that freezing condition. I called my wife and I said, I think this is it. For those that do not know why this was a serious situation, they already lit my house on fire. They wanted us dead. They wanted to burn this house down in the middle of the night with our 3 children sleeping. It was by miracle of God that the firefighters put the fire down. Of course, damage and fire and all that stuff, but we survived. They lit our church on fire, burned down our church's bus, broke into our church multiple times.
I've forgotten about some
Right?
of these things. Yeah.
So they stole our equipment, they stole our cameras, tens of thousands worth of damages, broke our church, vandalized our church every single week for 3 months. So think about it. You go to church and they call the police, they do nothing. They don't care. They laugh. And
Well, have you in a cage.
then they unscrewed tire in our pickup truck, the truck that my wife was using to drive kids to school. And in the middle of driving, the tire just took off. It turned out that they unscrewed the bolts in a trying to kill us. I was physically attacked. I had Antifa in my property. I was physically bear sprayed, attacked, punched in the face. When in prison, 5 inmates testified to our lawyers that the guards were giving them incentives to murder me in prison. And the inmate said, no way, he's a man of God, we're not touching him. So I had favor with those people. And I called my wife and I said, I think this is the end of the rope. I think I realized that with Antifa I can deal this way or that way, but how you deal when you're locked in freezing conditions and your body's shutting down. I lost 30, 40 pounds.
How long were you in those conditions?
So I was 45 days in solitary, and I was a week in psych ward.
I mean, they say generally like a small amount of time in solitary confinement is enough to make a person insane.
2
very
weeks,
shortly, right?
2 weeks, international standards.
Yeah.
If you're kept longer than 14 days, it's considered torture by international
Cruel and
standards.
unusual punishment.
So they kidnapped me. They take me from MaxPod. I called my wife. I said, that's it. This is my goodbye. They're going to tell you I had a heart attack. They're going to tell you something happened. And that's it. I mean, I really think they're going to murder me. She panics. Thank God she did, actually. She calls the lawyers. Lawyers send a letter to the judge. The judge early in the morning learns about what they did to me. Then they panic. Because you got to remember, remand centers are privately owned businesses.
Okay.
They're private. Yeah, they're privately owned. It's a business. Twice a day, they're giving us narcotics. You know that, right?
Okay, so keeping everyone drugged.
Every morning, nurse with a guard comes and offers you 5 highly addictive narcotics, including fentanyl and cocaine. Then in the afternoon, nurse with the guard comes back and offers you more narcotics. So those people are hooked on drugs, snorting, breaking it, selling, reselling, I mean, the whole 9 yards. And the guards watch this, and of course, it's part of the system. The system is designed in a way that ensures the inmates to come back. It's a perpetual, never-ending revolving door. They want the people to come back to the facility because that ensures a steady flow of money. So my wife did what she did. Lawyers did their job. Judge in the morning learns about this. They freaked out and they moved me to a psych ward. So I'm taken by number of officers, escorted to another place, and there are people jumping up and down, going in a circle, and I'm thinking, where am I? Yeah. I mean, you have no idea. I mean, you got to remember, I'm not a criminal. This was a new experience for me. And I said, where am I? And they said, you're in the wild, wild west. And I said, what that means? And they said, you're in a psych ward. And they all started laughing. Okay. And I said, how fitting, a pastor in a psych ward for what? For sermons, just like the Nazis did, just like the Soviets did. So they kept me with a schizophrenic for a week. And I think they were hoping that he murders me because he killed his brother with a machete, chopped him to pieces. And I walked into his room, and you got to remember, I'm super dangerous. I'm not allowed to have a pen because I'm too dangerous.
You better hide them out.
And then I walk into this guy's cell, and he has like 15 pens. And I look at him and say, like, what you're here for? And he said, well, chopped my brother with a machete. And I said, okay. I said, Lord, have mercy on me. Don't allow this guy to murder me, to job me with all those pens while I'm
14
sleeping.
pens.
Right? Mm-hmm. And I told him, well, apparently I'm super dangerous. I cannot have a pen. And he looks at me, well, you can have mine. You know, this is like,
how dangerous you
this
were.
is an absurd. This is like a comedy. It was not actually so serious.
Yeah.
Right? And then eventually I was released, and I spent, are you ready? A year and a half on house arrest.
A year and a half?
A year and a half on house
Holy
arrest.
jumping.
Yeah, and I think it was 3 years probation. So it was not an easy ordeal. This was not like boom,
You're
boom,
still
boom.
on probation?
No, I finished. I'm, seasoned.
Free.
I'm seasoned criminal with criminal record right now. So I have a criminal record for giving a sermon to a peaceful assembly on private property, telling them to stay peacefully.
Yeah. Good. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you believed everything else that they go on about, right? It's if you look at it all, and it's just so absurd, right?
Yeah, it's so absurd on its face.
people
You're
just-
right, and it's almost comical if it wasn't so tragic.
Yeah.
right?
It's comical. And when I share the story, sometimes I laugh because, you try to detach your emotions from what happened to you. I mean, some of the things that the Calgary police did to me, I would say were the most painful things I've ever experienced in my life. And that tells you a lot because you have to understand, I was a professional boxer. I represented my country in boxing. So we got, put it this way, accustomed to pain. And then I was a teacher of martial arts. So, you get beatings and you give beatings, but pain. Yeah. What the police did to me was the most painful thing I've ever experienced. They cut my wrists. They transported me like a piece of meat upside down. They kept me in those metal cages. They would come and take me from my solitary confinement with bed and a washroom and water, and they would take me to a concrete cell without water, without washroom, just on concrete. Hours and hours, just I call it concrete treatment. And all of that because I dared to give people a message of hope.
Yeah.
And feed the poor. So eventually Gordon Krinky found me guilty on all the charges, and the whole ordeal ended, and we've decided to file a lawsuit against those people. And here's an interesting thing. Many people will come and say, why can't you just move on? Why can't you just forget about what happened? And it's easy for the people to say that. The people that did not lose their loved ones, the people that were not tormented or tortured or arrested or imprisoned like we were, for the people, it's easy for them to say, nothing happened to them. It was just a bad dream. But I say to them, if you're a good, honest person, you cannot forget what this government did to their own people. I'll tell you why not. Yeah. Not because I'm a vengeful person, not because I hate them. I don't hate anybody. I do not hate the police that did this to me. I don't hate the government. I pity them. I want you to understand, as a man of God, right? It's a different, I will yell at you, I'll scream, because that's the way how I fight. I can't punch you. I can't shoot you. We're not there. We're not in a state of war physically like this. So my only weapon is preaching and yelling and screaming if I have no other option. So that's what I do, right? My voice, peacefully, but loud, because I exhausted.
You could be peaceful and still forceful,
right?
I think.
So, but I'll tell you why it's important to go after the villains. Why was Nuremberg number one so important? Well, the war was over. So what's the big deal? Let's just move on. Let's just forget about everything, right?
There you go.
Why was so important to do it? We couldn't charge 50,000 SS officers. That was impossible. Logistically impossible.
Yeah.
But what we could do is charge 100 or 2, the key people, right? And charge them with crimes against humanity and all the other charges. And that's exactly what the international courts did. The Allied forces decided we have to send a message.
That this is not okay.
That this is not right. And the message to whom? To the future wannabe tyrants. Yeah. To the future wannabe Adolf Hitlers and Joseph Stalins, right? That's the message. We have to charge few of them for what they have done, because in the end of the day, it's not just your business, your money. In the end of the day, those people literally, and their decisions, their mandate, their restrictions, murdered Canadian people.
Yeah, many.
Those people have blood on their hands. So we have to, if we are to talk about justice and rebuilding our society and moving on, we have to revisit this era, and at least some of the key people that were responsible for what happened to the rest of us should be charged. Until that happens, you cannot move on.
Yeah, so without first of all acknowledgement, and then also with accountability, how can anyone really process? How can we move forward?
You can.
And it's actually, so what was done to you is actually, I mean, it's that much more striking or egregious, because what you were just talking about and what was done in good was kind of done to you for the opposite reason. Like, you were singled out, you stood up, you stood on your values, and you were singled out and attacked, persecuted as a message to warn people like us or anyone else to not do this again. It's almost the opposite.
Yes, and not just me. You got to remember, my brother David was arrested just because he's my brother 12 or 13 times. My son, our son, the oldest son, Nathaniel, was arrested 10 times.
Really?
So they targeted our family. All the males in our family were targeted by this sinister, evil criminal organization called the conservative government. So we're not talking about just, okay, let's single one person. No, let's destroy his family. Yeah. Let's destroy his ability to raise funds. They have attacked our church. They invaded illegally our church. They have arrested my associate pastor twice, right? This is not just one person. This is an organized crime targeting every everybody around us, threatening our wives, threatening our children, threatening our friends, threatening our church parishioners. I remember one time the police came and they blocked our parking lot to harass, intimidate our parishioners. And parishioners wanted to drive and they couldn't, so they had to park few blocks away and walk to the church. But they still did it. But the police thought, okay, if we're going to block the parking, they're not going to show up, but people did. So we're talking about a systematic, ongoing intimidation, harassment, prosecution, and then, and persecution of certain individuals that dare to stand up. So that's why it's important to bring that justice, because if we don't do it today, I'll tell you what is going to happen. No, let me take this back. History is saying this. So you don't have to believe Artur Pawlowski. Don't believe me. History is screaming and yelling that if we don't deal with the villains today, some other villains will come tomorrow. Maybe different names, maybe the same people, maybe different faces, different names, but they're going to do a lot worse to you than was already done.
Definitely. So like they often say, conflict delayed is conflict multiplied. So every time you don't stand up, even if it's hard, if you wait and let more come, it's going to be much worse down the road. Or be a fight that might not even be able to be had.
I remember in 2005 and 2006 when I faced first tickets and first arrest, I was yelling and screaming from the rooftops. I said, pastors, Christians, they came for me today. Be sure of it. They're going to come for you tomorrow. Yeah. That's history. They are targeting me today because maybe I'm the front runner. Maybe I'm louder. Maybe they don't like me. It doesn't matter what is their reasoning. Today it's me. Tomorrow it's you. If you don't fight for me today, who's going to fight for you tomorrow? Look how true came that prediction. Now, multiple pastors are facing prison, were in prison. Look at Derek Reimer. What did she do? He is a whistleblower exposing pedophilia and grooming of the children with Shannon Slater, that a librarian that grooms children. And we pay for it. Taxpayers are paying for it. Like, I don't agree with this. I don't want my money to go into grooming of the children with some pedophiles and some psychopaths and sexual deviants, men dressed as women. I don't agree. I mean, we used to help people. Yeah. We used to have people like that. Now, what do? We pay them to be disturbed. And now, ostriches, I watched that. So, of course, I was there. I did the church service there, and I baptized over 40 people there.
I heard that, yeah.
It was amazing. It was amazing. Great people, great farmers. I love farmers. And I saw how the government was doing this out of the sight, out of the public. They created a little concentration camp for the ostriches, for the animals today. Right? A little concentration camp for them today. But be sure of it, tomorrow is going to be for you.
Well, that's
today,
what it felt like
right?
Honestly.
Today is for the ostriches, for this reason or that reason. When the judge said, I am not allowing you to retest the animals, I knew this has nothing to do with disease or virus. Right? It was a clear message from the crooked judge. This is political, and we don't want you to test them because we know those birds are healthy. This is not about the flu. This is about sending a message to the farmers that we own you. Yeah. We can do anything we want with you. So shut up, be good slave, or else. And they killed them. And they murdered them
too, right? About as gruesomely as possible. They were as hard on the family, on everyone around as possible, as they were to you, right? So not only do they need to crush dissent.
Yes, because they are sending a message, right? They are sending a message. I have become a little bit like a symbol of freedom during that time. And we had thousands of people following, and my videos were millions of views. And Get Out video, right? Get Out Nazi was watched over 1 billion times. So that has become a symbol, a message of courage and how to deal with tyrants.
Well, and that is dangerous for them.
That's a very dangerous thing. So the first thing they do, they crush the symbols. They go after the visible ones, the loudest ones. But then when they are done with people like Derek Reimer or the Ostrich family or Artur Pawlowski or others that are facing similar circumstances, they're going to come after the average people. And the average people don't realize that. They don't understand that. If your politician, listen to me, my friends, if your politician is not speaking about this, if your premier is not talking about this, change the premier. If your politicians are not defending your rights, if they're not speaking about the ostriches, if they're not speaking about arrested pastors, if they're not speaking against grooming of the children and pedophilia, obviously they are not fit to do this job. You need to replace them with someone, I call them our neighbors, just regular folks. Like, I joke about this, but the point is valid. My dog would do a better job than those politicians. I'll prove it to you. You know why my dog would be a better politician than the Canadian politicians? Because my dog, you feed him, you love him, you take care of him, and he doesn't want anything else. Yeah. He will not steal from you. He's not going to.
You know what your dog.
He will not lie to you. He's not going to bite you. He's very faithful. He's very grateful. He loves you. He doesn't want to take more than he can eat. Look at our politicians. They lie to you. They steal from you. They rob you. They rape you. And they do it every single cycle over and over again. What do the people do? They vote them back into power.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just it's a shocker to me. It's I don't understand. Sometimes I sit and I talk to my wife. You know what? I think I no longer understand people.
Well, it's hard to. Like, there's a very big disconnect now between a lot of people. It's hard to really know, and it's hard to know how to approach this. Like, what do we do now?
Why would you vote for them?
Yeah.
Like, excuse me. Okay, splitting of the votes. We have to vote for the lesser of two evils. Excuse me. Listen to yourself. We have to vote for the lesser of two evils. That means we are settling for evil. And every cycle, every election, the bar is being lowered and lowered more and more. And now we got psychopaths. We got MAID that is murdering more Canadians in the entire history of this country.
Yeah, it's one of the top leading causes of death at this point and growing.
Abortion, over 100,000 little babies slaughtered like animals, like ostriches, without even blinking of an eye. With the taxpayers' money.
That's celebrated, honestly.
Right? Yeah. So what do we do with the surviving children? We indoctrinate them. Yeah. We are telling them. So this, someone gave me a recording of what is happening during the drugstore hour. You know what they're doing over there? They're playing dress up with toddlers. So adult male dressed as a woman, strips and children, and they play a dress up with little children, and they are singing songs. You want to know what they're singing? Yeah, if you trance and you know it, shake your bum. Yeah, if you drunk and you know it, send a kiss. If you trance and you know it, listen. Those are little children.
Yeah, kids.
They have no idea what you're talking about. They don't understand what you're trying to achieve. They're vulnerable. They are innocent, and you are grooming them with your perversion.
Yeah,
and that's somehow it's okay.
This. Like if you say it.
Well, I'm saying it because
even if people don't agree, like we lived in a country. I do happen to agree, but if we live in a country where we're supposed to be able to say what we think.
I mean, what happened with the concept? Let's agree to disagree.
Yeah.
I mean that.
Free speech is supposed to be for everything, not what we want to hear. It's about being able to talk about uncomfortable things.
But universities, schools were always historically viewed as places where, you can agree to disagree. You can bring all kinds of crazy ideas.
Well, that was the point.
Right, that was the whole point of universities. Now you will be excluded, you will be attacked, you will be imprisoned, you will be hunted down like an animal. But think about it. What happened with this idea of let's agree to disagree we can have a fiery conversation, fiery debate, and still drink a coffee, shake hands, and say, okay, that was crazy. That was fun. I debated atheists. in the University of Calgary. I debated imams in the University of Calgary when it was still allowed. Now people like me are not allowed.
You're not allowed to talk.
You're not allowed to talk. And we disagreed pretty much on everything. And it was fine.
Yeah.
And we shook our hands and it was filmed. People were entertained and some were for, some were against. And some said, you won the debate. Others said, no, you lost. And all good, all fine. We stretch it. Iron sharpens iron. But you know what I found? I found that the very people that yell and scream tolerance are the most hateful and intolerant people I've ever met. Even the communists were more tolerant than the left today.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Liberals, I mean, and a lot of people I know now would probably not consider themselves conservatives that have been forced into these movements. They're small L liberals. You know, they believed in free speech, equal rights for all, like very reasonable things. We didn't necessarily align on everything. But that doesn't really exist anymore. The liberals that we think now are there, you know, anything right of Stalin is basically extreme right at this point.
Yeah, it's a total insanity. This is a collapse of civilization. And I want the people to understand that this is a controlled demolition. Yeah. What those people do with immigration, it's not an immigration. I'm an immigrant.
Yeah.
You know what it took me to come to this country?
Yeah, hard work.
5 years. Yeah. I had to go through a very strict medical, criminal check, a meeting in the Canadian embassy in Athens because we lived in Greece at the time, interviews, money, all kinds of things, 5 years of paperwork, 5 years to come to Canada. You know why I came to this country? Because I was told in the Canadian embassy that Canada is the freest country on earth and no one will ever persecute me for my faith. Yeah. And look at me, 360 citations later, over 120 court cases and so many arrests that my lawyers don't remember. This is what I received for bringing my business, my money, in 1995 to this country. So what is happening right now is the clashing of two kingdoms. Those that want to be free and those that want to enslave the free. And we're dealing with the invasion of haters of Canada, haters of democracy, and it's being done on purpose.
Yeah. And it's being done world, like this isn't, like, I mean, we're dealing with specific problems here, but this is happening. It's not a specific Canadian thing. These globalist interests and this evil is it's expanding all over the world.
Yeah, because globalists, they're doing everything in their power to revive a Roman Empire. So during the Roman Empire, the control was on the top. The rest of the people had no choice. And I'm talking about the moment where the freedom ended and you had Caesars and tyrants, right? Yeah. So also, during the Roman Empire, everything was a go. Homosexuality, pedophilia, gay, boys, girls, no problem. Everything was a go. Prostitution was a go. Everything was acceptable. Orgies, parties, drugs, alcohol, whatever they had at the time, it was on. And that's what they're doing. They tried to legalize pedophilia for about 30 years in Canada already. And they were failing. So they are finding a new way to bring it forward. And they realized that normal people don't like this idea. And they are opposing this idea. So they attacked our schools. So now they're indoctrinating children. Yeah. And they're using the drug story hour, whatever, reading with royalty, to groom children. Because you got to remember, those people cannot produce. They cannot, have children. So what they're doing, they're stealing our children. Just like the Nazis did with the Hitler Jugend. Just like the communists
so long ago. So a lot of this happened well before we knew, and people were put through these universities and trained and put out into the world. And they ended up in all of our institutions.
Yes.
And they're in the HR departments and they're in all these places. And that's how power was kind of seized.
Yes.
It's hard to know where to go from there.
But you know why? Because good people withdraw themselves. Good people decided, okay, I want to mind my own business. I don't want to
stir the pot.
Right? I don't want to be political. How many times you've heard I don't want to get involved in politics. Well, let me say this to you. You may not want to be involved in politics, but surely politics wants to be involved with you and your children. You have to,
At some point, you won't have a choice.
It doesn't matter if you want to be involved in politics or not. Politics is every day in your life, in school, in business, in money, in taxing, in whatever you throw at me, that's where the politics is. So who do you want to have as your representative? A wicked, evil psychopath, pedophile, or whatever, or a good man, a family man, a tax-paying man? You got Carnage. I call him Carnage, the selected Prime Minister, Carney. She destroyed the Bank of England, moved to Canada, helped to destroy our country with the son of the Castro, then moved his business to New York and his family to New York, and then he was selected by the globalists to finish Canadians off. That's what we're dealing with.
He's doing it quickly, too.
And you don't have to like politics, but you have the consequences of your inaction. You're not willing to engage. You're not willing to vote for good candidates. Is going to bite you and your children. So instead of saying, I don't want to get involved, I would say to you, you must get involved or else. Because they're not stopping. The globalists are not stopping. They're not done with you. You think they're done with you? Look at the taxes. Canadians are in a very difficult economical crisis right now. We have in the province of Alberta, you think Alberta is the best of the best because we got, oil, and you got to remember the government is hostile to our natural resources. Albertans are in the worst state if it comes to economy. We have the biggest defaulting on our credit cards. You know that?
I didn't know, no.
We have the biggest defaulting on line of credits and mortgages within the Confederation.
Yeah, okay, that kind of makes, because there's a lot of people that at times when we were investing in our resources more who developed lifestyles that were all of a sudden taken away.
That's
These
right.
high-paying jobs that can raise a family and can support people and community, they're disappearing when we don't
That's
use
right.
our resources.
So Albertans are used to good life, good salaries. So when the crisis came a few years ago, they were giving up their toys, they were selling here and there, and then they started to use line of credit, second mortgages.
Because you can't stay afloat.
Right?
Yeah.
So just keep going. Okay, this will turn around. We'll have good times again. But years are passing and nothing is changing. So now Albertans are in a very big trouble. And this is just the beginning. Next year, you're going to see foreclosures of their properties. Because this fits the globalistic agenda of you will own nothing and you will be happy. You have to understand that the plan literally is a book, How to Become a Tyrant. And now we are at the chapter, we have to steal everything from those people. We're turning them into slaves.
And that's what they're doing, right? So as things foreclose, they start to own these properties.
Yeah.
Like they're doing with the farmers.
That's
if you
right.
can't afford to be a farmer, they'll destroy you.
Who is
They'll
the
take
biggest
that land.
landowner in the United States of America? You know?
No.
You don't know?
Gates.
Bill Gates.
Is it? Yeah.
The number one landowner in the United States of America is the globalist that creates vaccines and wants to kill you and your children. Is that not?
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Right?
Yeah.
And people are believing them. And so, what is the solution? Because we talk about...
let's get there. Yeah.
Right? We talk
What do we
about
do?
craziness.
Yeah.
We went to craziness. Again, I encourage you to get a book, buy it for Christmas, and give it to your friends, to your family. Give it to your enemies. Maybe because there's lots of truth and lots of gospel here and lots of hope. Maybe, they maybe will hate you even more. Or maybe they will love you for it. Amazon.ca, Amazon.com. Lions do not bow. But what is the solution? Well, the solution is actually quite simple. And people look at me when I say that, it's like, no, it's not. Actually, it is. Because the moment we the people, there's more, believe it or not, there's more of us than of them. So the moment we the people say, okay, there's something definitely wrong with our system. We don't like what we see. The moment that realization gets from your hurting body to your brain, then you have to be willing to change. You cannot complain about what you are experiencing without the willingness to change. So how you change? You cannot ever again vote for the same players. For you, when you realize what is happening, what those people are doing to you, it should be never again, I'm supporting you, I'm voting for, I don't care what you say. Because they are professional liars, they're con artists. They will tell you what you want to hear. Never again vote for liberals, conservatives, and the NDPs. Never again.
Yeah, so if they betray you.
Right? If they betrayed you 10 times, you think they're not going to betray you 11 times?
Yeah.
That's some say that's the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing and expecting different results. So don't do it. So what is our alternative? Well, alternative is all around us. Either independent candidates, they will fight for you like lions. They will do everything to prove to you that they were the right choice. Or smaller parties. And they say smaller parties don't stand a chance. They don't stand a chance because of you. Because if good people would vote for the smaller parties would become big parties. How do you think liberals came to power? By having a coffee in a living room, just like we're talking right now, and saying, you know what, let's start a party. How are we going to call it? Let's call it a liberal party. Let's call it Democrat. I call them the Demon Rats. Let's call them, Democrats, whatever. Oh, that's a cool name. Okay, let's do it. And then let's invite, Bob, your uncle. He knows few people, let's bring him next week. And that's how you grow. You grow
I think it
small.
has to be that way, right? It has to be grassroots. And the only real way to defeat globalism is with localism. It's by starting with yourself and your family and working out and networking.
Supporting your neighbors. That's why I said neighbors.
This is why the church is so dangerous.
Why neighbors are so important? Because they face the same craziness you face. In other words, they know what you're going through. I call them the politicians, your neighbors. So stop voting for career politicians. I find it hilarious that Pierre Poilievre started his career by saying 2 terms. Remember that?
Yeah,
2 terms.
It's a while back.
That's it. Just 2 terms. That was his campaign. That was his slogan. And 2 terms turned to 25 years in politics.
He may have believed it at the time, but it certainly changed throughout that
So
time.
that's why never again vote for those traitors. They should be, in my opinion, they should be charged with treason, at least some of them, but definitely don't support them. Don't believe a word they're saying. They're playing you. They're cheating. They proved that they are not working for you. So then you look around and you see, okay, there is a smaller party. I'm going to bring my family, my friends, my church, anybody else that is hurting like me, and we will support a new player. I'll tell you why this is beneficial for you. Even if they're not qualified at the beginning, people learn. When you get power, you hire experts. You think Donald Trump has every answer for everything? He's a genius and he knows everything? No, he hires professionals. That's what you do in government. You hire professionals. You don't know everything. You know a little bit here and there, but then you hire professional people. But if you have good policies, good politicians, then you hire good people. And the people are blessed. That's the concept, if you didn't know.
Sounds pretty simple.
Right? It is very simple. Yeah. So now you look at, I look at you and say, well, you're running. What is the name of your party? Yeah. So we, in Alberta, we created a party called Solidarity Movement of Alberta. Oh, I didn't hear about this party. So you're going to run in the next election? Yes. And I'm going to have, God willing, 87 candidates. So I'm asking the people, good people of Alberta, to support our candidates. Yeah. Why? I'll tell you why it's so beneficial to you. Because when a new players win, when a new party wins, the underdog, if you will, you know what is going to happen to you? They're going to do everything in their power to prove it to you that they were the right choice. Why? Because they want to be re-elected. Yeah. So benefits you the first 5 years, it's a miracle. You're going to be blessed. They will lower taxes. They will do everything in their power to prove it to you that they were the right choice. And then the second cycle comes, another election. They're going to do even more for you to prove to stay in power. Yeah. So that's at least 2 cycles. And then unfortunately, human nature, 4th, 5th cycle, corruption kicks in.
Yeah, you need fresh blood.
And you need fresh players, fresh party. That's just how it is. The first 2-3 elections, if I was elected, Alberta would be the most prosperous region in the world. We have more oil than Saudi Arabia. We have great relationship with Americans, our biggest partner. We would get their protection. I would not talk to British Columbia. I would talk to Montana and get the pipe straight to our neighbors.
Bypass it.
Right? Just okay. You don't want my money? You don't want to be blessed? Fine. Natives, you don't want it? Good for you. Okay, enjoy your whatever. And I will go straight to our neighbors, to Montana. So simple. I would start to talk to Europeans and start doing business with them with the excess of our natural resources. The sky is the limit.
Yeah, there's options like crazy.
You've got trains, you've got trucking. If Montana, let's say for whatever crazy reason, which I don't believe because Trump wants this to happen, but let's say you can't build a pipe to Montana, you truck the whole thing or you train the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of options.
You're right?
Yeah.
For the willing, there are all kinds of different options. Then you fix the education system. Then you stop funding crazy globalistic climate garbage agendas. You stop sending money to foreign entities while you have 15 to 20,000 homeless in the city of Calgary. First, you take care of your own people. Then
yeah, it's a very simple principle.
Yeah, you don't send another however many billion to the Ukraine.
Right? Well, like why? Like, excuse me, why?
Well, it's the same, right? If you don't look after yourself at home and you fall apart, how can you look after your family? I mean, this is just an
very simple.
Of that same principle.
Very simple though. Very simple concept. Donald Trump, and I mean, I'm not advocating. I know, some people hate him, some people love him, but think what he's doing. He says Americans first, and people get upset. I mean, Canadians get upset. I said, why are you upset? He's not working for you. You have not voted this man in. You voted the crazy Carnage. So talk to Carney. Americans elected their own guy, and their own guy works for them. I mean, it's such a simple concept. Yeah. So he is working for the American people, and he's looking for the interest of the American people. He's not looking for the interest of the Canadian people.
And there's a distinction there that just because America first or America does well doesn't mean that Canada has to suffer. Actually, a rising tide can raise...
Actually, opposite.
Right.
If we had a good government willing to work with our closest allies, our neighbors, Canadians would benefit enormously.
Everyone would.
Because you've got 350 million clients.
Yeah, the largest economy in the world, our biggest trading partner by far.
You've got literally few hundred million clients for your product.
We're aligned on most things too, right? I mean, there are obviously fundamental differences between Americans and Canadians because of how our countries were formed, but we're very similar people.
And what Americans are giving you in return? They give you military protection. Yeah. They give you an open market. They give you opportunities. They give you all kinds of different things. And for that, in my opinion, because I'm a capitalist, I believe in free market. I believe that if you work hard, you should be rewarded for your work. If you're a lazy bum, well, then you will stand in my soup kitchen. And that's your choice too. I mean, if that's what you want, I'll feed you. But if you want to achieve something more, you work harder, you do things, and you should be rewarded for that. I think Americans should be rewarded for giving us all those different trinkets, protections, and all kinds of different things. And yet, their policies are viewed as evil. And while at the same time, we have truly
take advantage of them though.
And we have truly hostile, wicked, treacherous government of our own. So lots of Canadians are focusing on what Donald Trump is doing. I'm thinking, like, why?
Ignoring what's happening at home.
Focus on our domestic terrorists, our premiers, our mayors, and our prime minister.
Not the convicted ones, but the actual ones.
know.
Oh man, that's absolutely wild. Going pretty long. Maybe we should figure out how to wrap up. Where can people find out more about Solidarity? Is it the Solidarity?
Yeah,
and your book and
we've created the political party. So we wanted to give an option to the people, because people were coming to us and said, well, there's no one else. They can't say that now. There is a political entity. We're going to run in the next election, and people will have that option, that opportunity to vote for good people. And if they choose not, that's on them. Yeah. They won't be able to complain after, but at least they will have that option. So Solidarity Movement of Alberta.ca, that's the political entity, registered, of course, in the province. As a kicker for people to understand how underdog can be used successfully, our party is responsible for taking down the Minister of Justice and Minister of Health. Our party removed those two cabinet ministers that imprisoned us.
Yeah, through lockdown. They were in power.
They were in power. So Jason Copping and Tyler Shandro, those two individuals, our party removed. Yes, we did not win any seat, but our votes ultimately removed those people from power. We took down Jason Kenney collectively, and the Minister of Finance as well, thieves. So I consider this a huge victory. At least few devils were taken down, but we can take all of them down if good people of Alberta will choose that. So Solidarity Movement of Alberta.ca. Also, of course, we're feeding the homeless people. So if you want to support what we do, we've never stopped feeding the poor. We feed thousands of people for the past 20 now. We're going into 27 years. Can you believe it? When I share that, I feel old.
Yeah.
27 years on the streets. So we still do that. We're doing a Christmas festival for the homeless on the 21st of December, so in a few weeks. And we're going to be serving them steaks, AAA steaks. So if you know anyone that has a cow and is willing to depart or give it at least portion, that would be so awesome. If you want to donate meat for that, and we're going to give gifts to the people. We want to treat them a little bit with better food, during Christmas, because Christmas is a season, for some is the most amazing season.
Others it's very hard.
But for others is the worst, is depressing, and they feel lonely. So I want to treat them. We'll have Christmas carols. We're going to have gifts for them. I want to have a barbecue with the best that Alberta can offer. Alberta's AAA steaks. So that's what I want to do for them. You can be part of this. Go to website www.streetchurch.ca, streetchurch.ca, and you can chip in. And I encourage you to buy a book. I'm pushing the book not because I really, I gotta read my book. The book was confiscated by the Canadian government 3 times.
Yeah, that's it.
The book was blocked at the border. So that tells me that the globalists fear this book. That means it must be pretty good. Okay, even if
any book that has to be smuggled out of jail on paper that had to be smuggled in from other inmates
that's the reason. And they shadow banned the book. They tried to destroy this book. They forbidden us to bring the book to Canada, but we found a way. We found a courageous American publisher. She published the book, and the book has. If you don't like reading.
Got some pictures.
Got pictures. You got pictures of arrests and all kinds of things. Oh, that's a snake. If you want to know how the snake looks like, well, that's the snake. Stephen Johnston is his name. That's a Crown prosecutor responsible for hunting down political dissidents. That's what he does for a living. He hunts down political dissidents. Stephen Johnson. That's the Crown prosecutor. That's his face. That's his picture here. And then you've got arrests. You've got some rallies. You've got Trump's family. I was invited with my wife to Mar-a-Lago, believe it or not, to speak at Trump's house. This is Ottawa. I don't know if you remember the Ottawa.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
It was like 5,000 people showed up.
Yeah. That was a big one.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And tons of a lot more of the information. We got into quite a bit, but we barely scratched the surface.
I'll have to talk for hours and hours. Here are the pictures from the Kuds. That's the place that I was addressing the people that I was charged with terrorism. Yeah. Here are my arrests. as you can see.
Yeah, so there's lots in the book.
Yeah.
And where the book's on Amazon?
Amazon.com and Amazon.ca. So for Canadians, Amazon.ca, and for Americans in the world, Amazon.com, and you can get it in electronic version as well. And we are working on an audio book as well, so people can listen. Yeah.
Yeah, and also Lieutenant General Michael Flynn wrote part of the foreword on your book, right? He referred to you, calling you as a modern day patriot of the highest order, that his service to God and man and his stand against an overreaching and global tyranny permeating societies around the world represent a nobility of courage rarely seen in today's world. His cause is that of every freedom-loving person on the planet. He fights for freedom, not because it is his cause. He fights because freedom is ordained by God. And here on earth, Pastor Pawlowski is among a small group of emissaries standing watch for us all. God bless Artur and his family. Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, U.S. Army Lieutenant General, retired, former U.S. National Security Advisor and an author. And you had a picture with them. He met you, and
yeah, we are friends now because of this ordeal. He's a great man. He's a great patriot. He is one of the few that were willing to really sacrifice their lives for freedom, for America, for what's right, and amazing people. And because of this, and I want to end in a positive note. Because of what those globalists did to us, the evil that they unleashed, the Bible says what enemy meant for evil, God turned around for good. Mm-hmm. And I want you to know that because they did what they did to me and my family in our church and many others, I was blessed, and I consider this an honor and a blessing. I was able, and I'm still able, to meet people like you and others. Because of this, I was privileged and blessed to meet hundreds, thousands of amazing human beings that otherwise I would never, ever be able to meet. Yeah. And you know what? When I look from the perspective of time, I'm telling you, without a hesitation, it was all worth it. Yeah. It was all worth it. Yeah. If I was to do it again, knowing what they're going to do to me, and how I'm going to be suffering and the threats and, the fires and all, I would say, let's do it. Let's do it again. Because of just that point, that I was able to meet the most extraordinary human beings on earth because of this. So in a way, what they unleashed on us gave us an opportunity to create a better country, better province, a better society, because of this power of coming together. And I want to encourage you to do the same thing within your circles of influence. Find your tribe. Find the people that are just like you. Patriots, freedom-loving, God-loving, human-loving, ordinary neighbors that are sick and tired of this corruption, willing to change it.
Yeah.
And believe that you can do it. Yeah. You can do it. There is more of us than there is of them, and we can do it. And the Bible also says, greater is he that is in us than the one that is in them. If God is for us, who can be against us?
Yeah.
Amen. Well,
thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank
God
you.
bless
Thank
you.
you so much. That's man, I'm almost, my hair is, I can feel it.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us here in your
home.
Oh,
you're welcome.
And everything you're doing and continue to do.
Thank you.
And I'm sure we will talk again as this goes forward. Dacey,
Rude,
and Pastor Artur Pawlowski.
God bless you guys.
Thank you.
God bless.
And Simba.
Yeah,
yes.
of course. Go. There we go.